All right, it's preparing the live stream right now. Okay, and we're on. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا اسمي ياسمين حسن. أنا شغالة في قسم الهجرة في جمعية ياما في بروكلين نيويورك. اليوم هنتكلم عن الجنسية، واليوم معنا محامي محمد سليم شغال معنا في قسم الهجرة. Want to introduce yourself?
Assalamu alaikum. How is everybody doing this afternoon? My name is Mohammed Salim. I'm an attorney at Davis and Danusa Eccles and Salim. My practice areas include immigration law, which I've been practicing for 11 years now. Happy to join Yassine and the Yemeni American Merchants Association on a real important presentation on naturalization and citizenship. So I'll let her start and I will comment in when necessary.
Thank you, Mohammed. فاليوم هنحكي عن الجنسية، هنحكي عن مين ممكن يقدم على الجنسية، مين ممكن يقدم على جرين كارد، ومين اللي عنده أنواع فيزا، والأنواع فيزا دول من ممكن يقدم على الجرين كارد والجنسية بالفيزا بتاعتهم. فأول شيء قبل ما نبدأ الويبنار بتاعتنا، احنا كجمعية ياما احنا بنساعد بس الاشخاص اللي عايشين في البلد الان. فلو انت عايش او انت عايشة في اليمن وتريد مساعدة من الجمعية بتاعتنا، للأسف ما نقدرش نساعد. بس لو انت عندك اب، ام، اخت، اخ، ابن او بنت عايشين في امريكا وهم عندهم جرين كارد او الجنسية، هم ممكن يقدموا عليك علشان تيجي للبلد. بس لو انت عايشة او انت عايش في امريكا وما في اليمن، للاسف في اليمن ما عندكوش اي اهل في امريكا، ما نقدرش نساعدكم باي شيء. So YAMA only assists individuals currently living in America unless you have a immediate family member, including a father, son, daughter, sister, mother, brother, or brother petitioning for you that currently lives in the United States. So if you live outside of America and want assistance getting with citizenship or any immigration issues, our organization YAMA cannot advise you. أول شيء هنحكي عنه إيش الجنسية، إيش المعنى الجنسية. معنى الجنسية ده شيء اسمه status، بيديك الفرصة علشان تعيش في بلد معين وبيخليك تبقى citizen في هذا البلد. So citizenship can be understood as a status that allows you to become a citizen of a specific country. So if you have United States citizenship, then you are a citizen of America. If you have citizenship in another country, let's say Egypt, you have Egyptian citizenship. Every country is different in terms of what benefits the citizenship gives you and offers. But in terms of today, we'll just be discussing American citizenship. فاليوم فقط هنحكي عن الجنسية الأمريكية، هنحكي عن إيش ممكن تعمله بالجنسية الأمريكية وإيش ممكن ومن ممكن تقدم عليه بالجنسية. أول شيء لو شخص اتولد هنا في أمريكا على طول بيجي له الجنسية، مش لازم يقدم على أي شيء خالص. So if an individual is born in the United States, this is known as the law of the soil, meaning an individual or a child that was born in the US or born in America or American territories are automatically granted American citizenship. So if you're born in any of the 50 states, or if you're born in any territory that America has control over, you qualify for American citizenship. تاني شيء الجرين كارد. ما هو الجرين كارد؟ الجرين كارد حاجة اسمه الجرين كارد حاجة معروف عنه زي البيرمننت ريزيدنت كارد. هذا الكارت صغير لونه أخضر، بيديك الفرصة تشتغل تعمل أي نوع عمل في أمريكا. بيديك الفرصة علشان تقدم على الجنسية بعد كده. فإحنا اليوم هنتكلم عن الشخص اللي عنده الجرين كارد إمتى ممكن يقدم على الجنسية. فأول حاجة هنحكي عنه بس هو الجرين كارد الآن. So what is a green card? A green card is also often referred to as a permanent resident card. So this green card allows you to, in essence, be a permanent resident within America. This is a legal status. It gives you the opportunity to live and work in America within legal parameters. And it allows you access to certain government benefits, as well as eventually applying for American citizenship. Now, we are going to discuss later on in the webinar who and when, who can get a green card and when you can apply for citizenship with your green card, depending on your status.
One thing I'll just add about the green card is that you have to be very careful about making sure you do everything to protect it and preserve it. There are certain things you can do that can end up making you lose your green card status. So I know the word says permanent resident, but remember, it's something that you can end up losing. It's not permanent, meaning it's not permanent for life. The only thing that is really protected is once you become a US citizen, the government taking citizenship away from you, it's very hard to do, but there are certain things you could do that could end up making you lose your permanent residency. So it is important to make sure that once you have the green card, you do abide by the conditions that make you keep the green card, such as the biggest one is to stay in the United States permanently. So it doesn't mean you got the green card, you're a permanent resident, then you just go overseas and stay years overseas. So that's just something important to note. And I know the permanent resident green card makes people get comfortable, but it's not something you should become totally comfortable with. You get citizenship. Yeah, that's all.
أهم حاجة تعرفوها عن الجرين كارد الجرين كارد ما ينفعش تخلوا معكم الجرين كارد مدى الحياة. أول شيء ممكن الجرين كارد يتاخد من الشخص مثلا لو عمل جريمة وحشة قوي في البلد، أو يعني عامل أي حاجة اللي ضد القانون أو ضد الحكومة. فأهم حاجة لو شخص عنده جرين كارد وقادر يقدم على الجنسية، يحاول يقدم على الجنسية يعني أسرع، يعني بسرعة وما يستناش، علشان الجرين كارد مش حماية مدى الحياة. الجنسية الشيء الوحيد اللي بيحمي الشخص مدى الحياة. So one important thing to know is typically you must have a green card to apply for citizenship. There are some cases where an individual can apply for citizenship without a green card, depending on the status that you have and the type of visa. But generally, the standard is you must have a green card to apply for citizenship for a certain amount of years. شيء مهم، الشخص اللي عايز يقدم على الجنسية لازم يبقى معاه جرين كارد علشان يقدم على الجنسية. في أشخاص ممكن يقدموا على الجنسية من غير جرين كارد، بس حسب الستاتس بتاعتكم وحسب النوع الفيزا وحسب معلومات تانية. بس في العادي يعني 90% من الأشخاص اللي بيقدموا على الجنسية لازم يبقى عندهم جرين كارد. What is acquisition? So we're going to run through some terminology that is often used by USCIS and immigration departments. Acquisition of citizenship is obtained through a US citizen parent, parents, either at birth or after birth, but before the age of 18. So that being said, an individual can acquire or get citizenship from a parent after they are born or when they are born, but it has to be before the age of 18 years old. ما هو الأكوزيشن؟ الأكوزيشن كلمة بتستعمل في وسط الهجرة، في وسط الحكومة، في وسط USCIS. الأكوزيشن حاجة معناها يعني الشخص اللي اتولد وتحت السن 18 والأم أو الأب عندهم الجنسية الأمريكية، ممكن الطفل ده ياخد الجنسية من الأم أو الأب، ولا ممكن لو طفل اتولد والأم والأب جالهم الجنسية بعد ما الطفل اتولد قبل السن 18، ممكن الولد ده أو البنت ده ياخد الجنسية من الأم والأب. ففي العادي لو شخص اتولد تحت السن 18 والأم والأب عندهم الجنسية، ممكن يقدموا على الولد أو البنت علشان يجي لهم الجنسية هذا. So being born abroad to US citizen parents. So this is another subsection to acquisition of citizenship. As we said, a child who is under the age of 18 can acquire citizenship from their US citizen parents. But, you know, some children are born outside of America, and because of that, they don't automatically get citizenship because they weren't born in America. But their parents can help them apply for citizenship as babies. They don't have to wait until they're 18 or 19. They can apply before they turn 18. ففي أولاد بنات بيتولدوا يعني برا أمريكا، والبنت أو الولد اللي بيتولد برا أمريكا مش بيجي لهم الجنسية. بس لو الشخص لو العيل عنده الأم والأب عندهم الجنسية، وهو العيال هذا ممكن تحت السن 18، ممكن أهلهم الأم والأب يقدموا على العيل علشان يجي له الجنسية. فمش مش لازم يعني العيل هذا يتولد في أمريكا، ممكن يتولد في اليمن، يتولد في مصر، أي بلد مش مشكلة. ف تاني حاجة في أشخاص الأولاد اللي اتولدوا بعد ما الأم والأب جالهم الجنسية. فالمشكلة بهذا الشيء اللي صعبة علشان نقول في قانون واحد له علاقة بهذا. لو انتم عندكم ولد أو بنت اتولدوا بعد ما جالكم الجنسية، اتصلوا علينا وإحنا ممكن نساعدكم ونشوف لو هذا الولد ممكن يجي له الجنسية أو هذا البنت ممكن يجي لهم الجنسية منك أنتي كواحدة عندها الجنسية الأمريكية، أو أنت الأب اللي عنده الجنسية الأمريكية برضه. So yeah.
Let me just add something about this, Yassine, and the slides that you did before this as well. Again, you know, what Yassine said, it's very important that each person contact a immigration attorney or an organization to understand what is the best way for them to pass citizenship to their.
I think you're muted, Mohammed.
Okay, let's see.
There we go.
All right, so there's very specific rules for each category that you may fit into when you're trying to pass citizenship to your children. There's no one size or one rule fits approach for each person who's trying to pass citizenship to their children. And that's why it's important for you to make sure that you contact, you know, YAMA or an immigration attorney to understand what's the best situation for your child. We have seen from our experiences situations where the people had been citizens for a long period of time and they had to do an I-130 petition to sponsor their kids to come to America. Other situations where they were able to just go to the embassy abroad and say that they have a child. And each situation is different, and you know, one did not fit the scenario for the other, and the other one did not fit the scenario for the other person. So you can't automatically make a decision on your own that I'm just going to try to do an I-130 petition and then bring them here and help them get citizenship, or I'm just going to report their birth abroad at the embassy. So, you know, just talk to us or, you know, an attorney to understand what's the best way for you, because it'll save you time and money as well.
أهم شيء تعرفوه للناس اللي عندهم الجنسية، الأم والأب وعندهم عيل، والعيل هذا ما اتولدش في أمريكا واتولد برا البلد، كل ملف، كل كيس بيفرق من الكيس التاني. فأهم شيء لهذا الموضوع تحاولوا تكلموا محامي أو تتصلوا عليه إحنا، أو تتصلوا على الجمعية بتاعتنا وإحنا ممكن نساعدكم بهذا الشيء. So next, we're going to discuss the different types of green cards that an individual can get. Now, there's many ways to get a green card, but for the purposes of this webinar, we're going to discuss only a few of those methods. For starters, you can get a green card from marriage. So if your husband or wife has a green card and or has American citizenship, they can petition for you to travel to America so you can also have a green card. Now, what's important to know is that this process doesn't take a few months. It can take a few years for one individual's application to process. So if you are petitioning for your husband or wife, the process will take at least a few years. في شيء ممكن يحصل اسمه الجرين كارد من الجواز. فمثلا لو الشخص تجوز حد عنده الجرين كارد أو عنده الجنسية الأمريكية، الشخص هذا ممكن يقدم على مراته أو جوزهم اللي برا أمريكا علشان يجوا لأمريكا ويجي لهم الجرين كارد. فمثلا يعني لو أنا متزوجة شخص في اليمن وأنا عندي الجنسية الأمريكية، أنا ممكن أقدم على جوزي وهو ممكن يجي إلى أمريكا ويجي له الجرين كارد. وأيضا كمان لو أنا عندي جرين كارد وجوزي في اليمن وأنا قدمت عليه، ممكن هو يجي له الجرين كارد ويسافر إلى أمريكا. هذا طريقة واحدة الشخص ممكن يجيب جرين كارد.
I'd just like to add one thing about this. A lot of people do file the I-130 petition for their husband or wife, and they may be a green card holder themselves. When you become a US citizen, it's really important for you to then notify immigration, meaning USCIS, that I'm now a US citizen. I was a green card holder before. Can you please make a note of that in the file so that they can try to move your case faster? The reason why is that if you're a green card holder now and you apply for your wife, there's a longer wait period for you compared to a US citizen. So, I just want to say that if you started your case when you're a green card holder, make sure when you become a citizen to update immigration. It doesn't happen automatically. A lot of people will think, oh, it's immigration, they know I'm a citizen. You would be surprised. It doesn't happen. The responsibility is on you.
فأهم شيء لو شخص قدم على مراته أو جوزهم أو أخت أو أخ أو أي شيء، والشخص اللي قدم عليهم عنده الجرين كارد وبعد كده جالهم الجنسية، لازم الشخص هذا يكلم الهجرة يقول أنا جالي الجنسية. فللأسف مهما كان بتقدموا على أي شيء، الهجرة لا يعرف اللي انتوا قدمتوا على شيء، أي شيء من غير انتم تقول لهم. فمثلا لو أنا عندي الجرين كارد وأنا قدمت على أخويا أو أختي أو أمي وأنا قدمت عليهم، وبعد 4 سنين أو 5 سنوات جالي الجنسية، أنا لازم أكلم الهجرة وأقول لهم اللي جالي الجنسية، علشان لو أنا كلمتهم وقلت هذا الشيء ممكن هم يسرعوا الملف بتاعتي اللي أنا قدمت على أهلي في بلد تاني، وممكن يجيلهم الجرين كارد بتاعتهم هم أسرع. فأي شيء بتغير عندكم لازم تكلموا الهجرة، تقول لهم مثلا رقم تليفون اتغير، جنسيتكم اتغيرت، الإيميل، عنوان البيت، أي شيء زي كده. فلأي شخص اللي عنده الجنسية الأمريكية ممكن يقدم على مراته، الزوج، أي بنت أو ولد متزوج أو مش متزوج، ولو شخص عايز يقدم على الأم أو الأب أو الأخت لازم يبقى عندهم 21 سنوات. So if an individual wants to petition for someone in their immediate family as the US citizen, they may petition for their wife or husband, married or unmarried children, or if you are over the age of 21, you can petition for parents, mom or dad, a brother or a sister. فلو شخص عنده جرين كارد ما ينفعش يقدم على كل الأشخاص الشخص اللي عنده الجنسية ممكن يقدم عليه. فلو شخص عنده الجرين كارد ممكن يقدم على الزوجة، أولاد تحت السن 21 اللي مش متزوجين، أو أي شخص اللي مش متزوج ابن أو بنت اللي عنده يعني فوق السن 21. فلو أنتم عندكم جرين كارد وعايز تقدموا على بنتكم وهي متزوجة ما ينفعش تقدموا عليها. لازم يبقى عندكم الجنسية علشان تقدموا عليها. So if yeah.
I'll add after you kind of give the general point, but there's an important point about the distinctions in this category.
Yeah, so الأهم حاجة تعرفوا السبب الهجرة بيعملوا فرق ما بين أولاد مش متزوجة تحت السن 21 وأولاد مش متزوجين فوق السن 21. ليه علاقة بين لو الشخص تزوج قبل كده. فالآن المحامي محمد سليم هيحكي عن هذا الشيء.
Okay, so in this category over here, when you're a green card holder, you can sponsor your wife, you can sponsor your children under 21, and you can also sponsor the last one, unmarried son or daughter, being over 21. The first categories of your spouse, husband, wife, and your children under 21, that case will get processed very quickly. And what I mean by quickly is a couple of years. We're talking about maybe well, now with COVID, you could probably add one more year to it, but used to be at 2 years or so. And then the last category, you may be wondering, well, if I can sponsor my children, it looks like I can sponsor them of any age. However, if they're under 21, it's going to be faster than if they're over 21. For children over 21, we are looking at close to 10 years, maybe even more. And then the other thing is when your child who you sponsored over 21, if that person becomes married, they can't come to America under the green card sponsor basis. So it's really important to understand your rights to sponsor children, and if they're over 21, understand that it's going to take very long. We're talking minimum 10 years, sometimes up to 15 years.
أهم شيء المحامي محمد سليم بيحكي عنه الآن لو شخص عنده جرين كارد ويريد يقدموا على أي أولاد مش متزوجين وهم تحت السن 21، هذا الطلب ممكن يوصل للهجرة أسرع من لو شخص عنده جرين كارد وقدم على أولاده ولا أولاد فوق السن 21. فلو أنتم تريدوا تقدموا على أولادكم وعندكم جرين كارد، حاولوا تقدموا عليهم وهم تحت السن 21 علشان لو قدمتم هم صغار الطلب هيوصل للهجرة أسرع. ففي أشياء مهم لازم نحكي عنه نفرق ما بينه. أول شيء هو اسمه Non-Immigrant Visa، والتاني شيء اسمه Immigrant Visa. ففي كذا نوع فيزا الشخص ممكن يقدم عليه. أول نوع فيزا الشخص ممكن يقدم عليه هو ممكن الفيزا السياحة، فيزا الدراسة، فيزا العمل أو فيزا البزنس. فبكل الأنواع الفيزا كل دول يعتبروا في العادي non-immigrant visa. non-immigrant visa ما يديش الفرصة للشخص علشان يقدم على جرين كارد. بس في أنواع فيزا اسمه الإيميجرانت فيزا بيخلي الشخص يقدم على جرين كارد. فالنوع الفيزا اللي بيجيلكم من انتم بتسافروا ما بين اليمن والأمريكا أو من مصر لأمريكا أو من جيبوتي لأمريكا بيعمل فرق. لو الشخص عنده Non-Immigrant فيزا ما ينفعش يقدم على جرين كارد بهذا الفيزا، غير لو هو اتجوز حد عنده الجنسية أو عنده الأولاد اللي عنده جنسية أو أي شيء زي كده. So there's an important distinction we have to make in terms of visa types. There are non-immigrant visas and immigrant visas. So in terms of immigrant visas, there are many types. There are business visas, business and work visas, student visas, and tourist visas. All of these are considered visas that are non-immigrant visas. They do not create a direct path to getting a green card. With a non-immigrant visa, if you want to get a green card or apply for citizenship, you would either have to marry a citizen in America or get married to a green card holder in America, or have a immediate family member, meaning a mother, a father, a sister, or a brother, or a son or a daughter petition for you. An immigrant visa, though, does allow for you to get a green card. It is a direct path to getting a green card, and that is also a direct path to getting citizenship. Would you like to add anything in terms of this?
Yes. One thing I will say is that just because you have a non-immigrant visa at one point does not mean that you can't transition over to an immigrant visa at a future point. So there is a bridge to go from non-immigrant visa to an immigrant visa. I'll give you the perfect example. You come to America on a F1 visa to become a student. You meet somebody in college, you fall in love with them, and you get married, and they're a citizen, and they can sponsor you for an immigrant visa. You don't have to go back to your home country. Now, the person who's sponsoring you has to be a US citizen for you to get that visa. In some cases, a green card holder, but let's just say a citizen. So generally speaking, you can go from non-immigrant visa to an immigrant visa at a later point when you have that first basis of a visa. So that is important to just know that there are options for you if you only have a non-immigrant visa. Generally, it doesn't go backwards. You don't go for an immigrant visa to a non-immigrant visa, but you can go from one to the other. So there is a little bit of a bridge between the two. And people should explore that option. If they're here in the United States, and they're studying here and they want to establish their life permanently, they should explore their options on how to get a permanent visa, immigrant visa to be here permanently.
فلو الشخص عنده non-immigrant visa ويريد يجيله immigrant visa، في طريقة الشخص ممكن يقدم عليها، في كذا طريقة. للأسف جمعية ياما مش بنساعد بالمعلومات بالفيزا، بس أحسن شيء تحاولوا تحكم مع محامي، أي محامي اللي شغال في الهجرة، والشخص هذا ممكن يساعدكم بالمعلومات.
Yeah. So the point being, and I want to make it very clear, there is a bridge to go to the other side from non-immigrant to an immigrant visa. But if you have an immigrant visa, a non-immigrant visa, like a F1 student visa, it doesn't mean you're going to get a green card automatically. You could be a student here for 5, 10 years. There's people that are studying here in America, PhDs, doctors, and they have no interest in getting a green card. They're just here on a non-immigrant basis, and they're going to go back to their home country. So it doesn't mean that you're going to automatically get a green card if you're on a non-immigrant visa. You have to take that next affirmative step, the key word, affirmative step, to apply for an immigrant visa or have someone apply on sponsor you for one.
فلو في أشخاص كتير اللي عندهم non-immigrant visa وبقالهم مدة طويلة هنا عايشين في أمريكا، ومش كلهم يريدوا يبقى عندهم الجرين كارد. فلو أنتم عندكم non-immigrant visa وتريدوا تقدموا على immigrant visa، في كذا طريقة علشان الشخص ممكن يعمل هذا، بس هو حسب كل كيس. أحسن شيء زي ما قلنا تحاول تحكم مع محامي شغال مع الهجرة. فلو لو في لو مثلا انت شخص او واحد او شخصية عايشة برا امريكا، ومثلا مرات الشخص هذا قدم لها على ال قدم لجوزها على الجرين كارد او الجنسية. هل هذا الست ممكن تجيب معاها الأولاد مثلا؟ ففي طريقة، لو في شخص قدم على مراته، ومراته في اليمن وأولاده في اليمن وكلهم عايشين مع بعض، لو هذا الشخص عنده الجنسية الأمريكي وقدم على مراته، ممكن هي تيجي مع الأولاد، بس لازم الأولاد يقدموا على شيء اسمه زي ما قلنا اللي لسه اتكلمنا عنه الإيميجرانت فيزا. فلو الأولاد تحت السن 21 ومش متزوجين، ممكن يجوا مع الأم أو الأب إلى أمريكا. لو مرات أو لو الزوج أو الزوجة بتاع الشخص قدمت عليهم. So something important to know in terms of immigrant visas. So if an individual is living outside of America and is able to get a green card from their spouse, meaning their husband or their wife, the question arises is whether that individual who got that green card can bring their kids alongside with them. So the answer is yes. They can also bring their husband or wife potentially. If a individual has 2 kids, let's say, who are unmarried under the age of 21, they can join that parent that got that green card by applying for an immigrant visa. So if a man sponsors and petitions for his sister, and his sister is able to get a green card and she has a husband and 2 kids, they can all apply for an immigrant visa so they can all travel into America together.
So one thing that's important to note about that last part is once the applicant has been granted a benefit, an immigration benefit by the petitioner meaning the person sponsoring the applicant, meaning the sister for the visa, the family members can join in. And they are what is known as derivative visa applicants. So they get their benefit by virtue of being connected to the sister. So I know a lot of people ask me, well, my sister's old, but I want to bring my niece and my nephew, meaning the sister's children, to America for a green card. Can I sponsor them? And I always tell them, the law does not allow you to directly sponsor those 2 people, meaning your niece and your nephew, but you can sponsor your sister, and when they give her a green card, they will also give her family a green card, so her younger children can come. I know I have we have a lot of Yemeni clients who are like, oh, but I don't want to wait 15 years. If I knew, I would have done it, 15 years ago when I got my citizenship, because her children at that time were babies, but now they're 15, 16. They want to go to college in America and it's hard to get a visa. Can I just pass the green card to her children? And I always tell them that, unfortunately, the law does not work this way. You can't sponsor the niece and the nephew. You have to sponsor your sister and then her family come. So, for our community members, especially Yemeni, American people living here, whether green card holders or citizens, think about it. If you have family, you want them to come in the future, you may want to consider filing a petition now, knowing that it's going to take a long time, so that maybe if your sister doesn't want to come, at least her children will have that ability to come with her for a period of time as well and get a green card.
فأهم شيء تعرفوه لو شخص عايز يقدم على حد في العائلة، لازم الشخص يبقى الأم أو الأب، الأخت أو الأخ أو الابن أو البنت. ما ينفعش الشخص يقدم على خالته، على الخاله، على الجد، الجدة، ما ينفعش شخص يقدم على الجيران بتاعته، ما ينفعش يقدم على أصحاب، ما ينفعش يقدم على بنات ابنه أو أولاد بنته. لازم الشخص يبقى الأم أو الأب، أخت أو الأخ، أو البنت أو الولد بتاعتهم. في حاجتين هنحكي عنه، اسمه الاسايلم وش اسمه اللجوء والريفوجي ستاتس. فأول شيء اللجوء حاجة الشخص ممكن يقدم عليه، ممكن يقدم عليه أما يوصل أمريكا. فالشخص اللي خايف مثلا يعيش في بلده، مثلا الشخص خايف يعيش في اليمن، يسافر على فيزا مثلا يجي لأمريكا، وأول ما يجي على أمريكا لازم يقدم على اللجوء. لو عدى سنة بعد ما الشخص دخل أمريكا ما ينفعش يقدم على اللجوء، ما ينفعش. الشخص اللي بيقدم على اللجوء بيقدم عليه علشان خايف يرجع للبلد اللي اتولد فيه أو البلد اللي جنسيته، علشان خايف يعني البلد ممكن يموتوه أو يضربوه أو يعملوا شيء وحش أوي فيه. So asylum status is granted by a country to someone who has left their native country due to fear of persecution because of race, religion, nationality, or membership in a particular group or political opinion. So you can only apply for asylum once you reach America and only within a year of being in the country. So if you've been living in America for 4 years and you have no status, you cannot apply for asylum. You can only apply within 1 year of being in America. So after 1 year, you can no longer apply.
Yeah. So Yassine, I'm going to add to that rule. Just like every rule in immigration law, there's always an exception. So that is what she's saying is absolutely correct. That's a rule. You can apply for asylum when you reach America and only within a year of being in the country. However, there's always these exceptions to the rule. You can say that there was something that prevented you from applying, and the burden becomes on you to prove why you didn't apply within that time period for the 1 year that you were in America. Or there's another type of exception that you can show that your country's conditions have changed so much that now you need to apply because something that happened in the country that will not allow you to go back and that you were not aware of previously. So what Yassine's saying is the rule. You have to do it when you're in America and within that 1 year. But there are exceptions to the rule, just like anything, but the exceptions are very small and the burden of proof on the exceptions is very high. So you have to look at that very carefully, because the immigration judges that I know, when you try to say you're trying to overcome that 1 year rule exception, they are going to look at your case with extreme scrutiny, meaning like in a critical way, to see why you should be granted that exception. So again, the rule is very strict, but there is exceptions, and that's why you should talk to a lawyer to see if you can fit within the exceptions. Okay?
ففي العادي لازم الشخص يقدم على اللجوء قبل سنة ما أول ما هو دخل أمريكا. بس المحامي محمد سليم بيقول في كذا طريقة ممكن تعدي هذا الشيء. أول شيء ممكن يعني الشخص اللي عدى 5 سنين مثلا وعايش في أمريكا ويريد يقدم على اللجوء، ممكن يحاول يقدم عليه لو قال مثلا أنا كنت مش قادر أقدم من 2 سنين، الأشياء في البلد بتاعتي بقى أسوأ والحال بقى أسوأ، الآن أنا أريد أقدم عليه. بس المشكلة بهذا الطريقة صعبة قوي، ولازم أنتم تبينوا إيش السبب وليش السبب اللي أنتم ما قدمتوش أول ما دخلتوا البلد. فيعني القانون بيقول لازم تقدموا عليه قبل سنة ما دخلتوا البلد، بس ممكن تقدموا بعدين، بس صعب علشان تقدموا عليه، علشان لازم انتم تبينوا الأوراق وتثبتوا السبب للحكومة بتاعة الهجرة ليش السبب اللي انتم ما قدمتوش أول ما دخلتوا البلد. في الريفوجي حاجة قريبة من اللجوء، بس مش هيها. فالشخص اللي عايز يقدم على الريفوجي ستاتس لازم يبقى عايش بره أمريكا ويقدم عليه بره أمريكا. فلو الشخص دخل أمريكا خلاص وعايش في البلد، ما ينفعش يقدم على الريفوجي ستاتس، لازم يقدم على اللجوء لو عايش في البلد، يقدم على الأسايلم. بس لو الشخص عايش بره أمريكا وعايز يقدم على الريفوجي ستاتس، هو ده نوع اللجوء التاني، ممكن يقدم عليه. So there is also refugee status, which is different than asylum, because those who are refugees can only apply for the status while living outside of America. If you are currently living in America and you've been here for less than a year, you can apply for refugee status. You cannot apply for refugee status. You can only apply for asylum status while living in America.
Yeah, and most immigration lawyers, they don't really deal with refugees in the United States. The refugee process is usually done by the United Nations. They have a specific committee that deals with refugees. I know many people call me from overseas and say, hey, I would like to become a refugee to the United States. Can you help me? And I tell them that, unfortunately, I have no way to help them. You know, I don't control the refugee process, and nor can I help them do any application to become a refugee. They have to do it all throughout the United Nations and the organizations that deal with refugees.
فللأسف لو الشخص عايز يقدم على الريفوجي ستاتس، ما ينفعش احنا كجمعية ياما ما نقدرش نساعدكم بيها. لازم كل ده يحصل بره أمريكا. فلو حاولت تتصلوا عن محامي شغال في أمريكا، في العادي مش هيقدروا يساعدكم بالريفوجي ستاتس. بس لو دخلتوا البلد وتريدوا تقدموا على اللجوء، ممكن يعني في كذا محامي ممكن يساعدكم بهذا الشيء. بس للأسف كجمعية ياما أيضا مش بنساعد باللجوء. فلو عايز تقدم على اللجوء، ما نقدرش نساعدكم تقدموا عليه. فالسؤال، هل ممكن الشخص اللي بيقدم على اللجوء، ولا الريفوجي أو الأسايلم، هل ممكن الشخص يقدم على الشخص اللي عنده اللجوء ممكن يقدم على الجنسية أو الجرين كارد؟ والرد أيوة. الشخص اللي عنده الأسايلم أو الريفوجي ستاتس ممكن يقدم على جرين كارد بعد سنة، في الوقت بعد سنة اللي هم عندهم اللجوء بتاعتهم. فلو شخص دخل أمريكا وبقاله 8 سنوات مستني اللجوء بتاعته يوصل له واللجوء وصله، بعد سنة ممكن يقدم على الجرين كارد. وبعد ما بيقدم على الجرين كارد بعد 5 سنوات، ممكن يقدم على الجنسية. So the question here is whether asylees and refugees could apply for citizenship, and the answer is yes, they can. After a year of having asylee or refugee status, said individual could apply for citizenship, could apply for a green card, I'm sorry. And after 5 years of having that green card, they could apply for citizenship.
I want to say something just as a note on that last part. Because I've done cases where we've helped asylum seekers not only get their asylum case approved, but then apply for again, a green card first, and then citizenship much later on. You can apply after a year of having your asylum case approved for a green card. But I will say something. It's taking, at least in New York City, it's taking about 2 to 3 years for them to have an interview for their green card for an asylum seeking, a person who's been granted asylum. So, you know, that doesn't mean that, okay, you get to, you know, because you've been waiting 2 years for your green card interview, now you're going to have to wait less after you get it to apply for citizenship. So in reality, the time period for when a person gets approved with asylum until they become a citizen could be a very long time, more than 5 years, maybe even more than like 8 years, because the wait period for you to just have an interview for your green card is very long. And I know that some Yemeni clients of mine have been waiting 3.5 years for a green card interview once their asylum case was approved. So, you know, there's the theory of how the process works, and then there's the reality of how the process works. And unfortunately, you know, due to, you know, the old administration's policy of slowing the system down for green cards, and now with COVID, it can take a very long time. You know, that's why you have to speak to a legal professional or contact us at YAMA if you're applying for a green card or citizenship and you've been granted asylum, just for us to guide you on the steps for it.
فللأسف الشخص اللي بيقدم على اللجوء أو الريفوجي ستاتس بزيادة اللجوء بياخد سنين قبل ما الحكومة بتاع أمريكا والهجرة بيردوا عليهم. ممكن ياخد 5 سنوات، ممكن ياخد 8 سنوات، ممكن ياخد 10 سنوات. فللأسف الشخص اللي بيقدم على اللجوء لازم يستنى لغاية ما يجيله اللجوء، وبعد كده ممكن يجيلهم الجرين كارد. وممكن أختين أو أم وأب قدموا على اللجوء مع بعض، بس ممكن شخص من الاثنين جاله اللجوء والتاني لسه مستني. فكل حاجة يعني عليه وقته وحسب يعني الشخص وحسب المناخ بتاعته. So one important thing to know in terms of asylum is brothers, you know, 2 brothers could submit their applications at the same time, and one brother could get his status before the other. You know, keep in mind that asylum does take a very long time. It does not take a year or 2 to get a response. Some people have been waiting 5 years, 8 years, sometimes even 10 years to get a response from USCIS for an interview. So please keep that in mind if you have applied for asylum or if you plan to apply for asylum. ايش ال TPS؟ زي ما قلنا في الويبينار بتاعتنا الأخيرة من الشهر اللي فات، ال TPS حاجة بيحمي الشخص لمدة 18 شهر. بيفرق من اللجوء وبيفرق من الريفوجي ستاتس، وبيحمي الشخص اللي عايز يعيش هنا في أمريكا لمدة 18 شهر، وبيخليه ياخد يديله الفرصة علشان يجيب كارت عمل وممكن تسريحة سفر. So as per our previous webinar a month ago, we discussed what TPS was, which is a temporary protected status. And it's a temporary humanitarian form of relief. It protects foreign nationals in America from being removed and sent to their home country. And it allows for them to be protected for up to 18 months and allows for them to apply for a work permit as well as a travel document.
I just want to add on TPS, and we'll cover a little bit more about this next section. When you get TPS granted, it's your responsibility to keep checking to see when the renewal process is. TPS is only for a limited period of time. You know, usually it's 2 years. Like for example, Yemen, it's for a 2-year period. You have to keep renewing it. It doesn't automatically renew itself. So that's really important. I know that some people think, well, I've got TPS, I'm good now. No, you must renew it. And there's a very small window for renewal, you know, and unfortunately the renewal period already closed for the people that had to renew for TPS. And we hope that all people were able to apply and renew for TPS.
فللتي بي اس الشخص اللي بيقدم على التي بي اس لازم يجدد التي بي اس من وقت يفتح. فبعد 18 شهر لازم تشوفوا امتى ممكن تجددوا التي بي اس بتاعتكم، علشان مش بيتجدد لوحده يعني. ولو عدتوا الوقت اللي ممكن تجددوا التي بي اس بيروح عليك الفرصة يبقى عندكم. ففي ناس كتير بيحكوا عن بايدن، ولو بايدن يعني بيخلي الناس اللي عندهم التي بي اس يقدموا على الجرين كارد أو الجنسية. الآن على حسب القانون الآن كله كلام وما فيش طريقة إن الشخص اللي عنده التي بي اس ممكن يقدم على جرين كارد أو الجنسية. ما فيش طريقة الآن مهما كان الحكومة بتقوله. الآن ما فيش قانون بيخلي الشخص اللي عنده تي بي اس يقدم على الجنسية أو الجرين كارد. So something important to know, there has been a circulation of news of how Biden might, potentially allow for TPS holders to apply for a green card or citizenship. So all of that is solely just discussion in the news. What's important to know based off of current immigration law, as of today, currently this month, TPS holders cannot apply for citizenship. They cannot apply for a green card. That is not something that has been passed into law. USCIS has not deemed that to be a new rule. In the event that that is decided, our organization will let you know. Yes.
I'll just add that there's a lot of proposals out there in terms of giving green cards or a pathway to citizenship, whether through TPS or whether through DACA or farm migrant workers. These are all just what we in immigration law call proposed bills. We don't have the time to explain the American legal process and lawmaking process, but Joe Biden, the president, he can't pass a law himself saying, I give this people or these group of people a green card or citizenship. It doesn't work that way. He does have the authority to give some sort of temporary status, like for example, TPS. He can say, I'm giving something TPS, but he can't do something permanently to make a group of people, green card holders or citizens. That has to come through a law through Congress. And anybody who knows a little bit about American, lawmaking process, the Democrats and Republicans, they're fighting all the time. And we don't know if it's going to happen today or next month or next year or maybe 10 years from now, whether those people will, get some sort of green card protections, whether they're TPS holders or DACA students. And I'm a little bit older than some people. I remember under George Bush II, there was this big push to have dreamers, people who came here as young children, to give them green card. And it never materialized. And that's well over 10 years ago now, before even Obama was president. So, there's a lot of excitement, and I'll let Yassine put that into English. A lot of excitement, but complex legal making process.
فالمحامي محمد سليم بيقول من ساعة ما هو كان صغير وكان بيبص على الأخبار على التلفزيون. أمريكا كانت بتحكي عن الداكا، وده الداكا حاجة شيء قريب من التي بي اس، وأمريكا كان بنقول هنخلي الناس اللي عندهم الداكا يقدموا على الجنسية، ومحصلش للأسف. فالأهم حاجة تعرفوه اللي بايدن كرئيس ما ينفعش هو يختار قانون ويعدل قانون لوحده. لازم هو يحكي مع الناس اللي شغالين معاه، وهم دول اسمهم كونغرس، ولازم كلهم يوقفوا عليه، وهذا الشيء ممكن ياخد سنين عبال ما يعدي لو عدوا. فأهم حاجة تعرفوه بالنسبة للأخبار، مهما كان اللي بايدن بيقول يريد يعمله مش بسهولة وبياخد وقت. ففي شيء اسمه الادجستمنت اوف ستاتس، بالترجمة بتغير الوضع بتاعتك أو الستاتس بتاعتك بتاع الهجرة. ففي العادي لو شخص عايز يقدم على مراته أو بنته أو مثلا الوالد أو الوالدة وهم في اليمن، أسهل علشان الشخص يقدم مع شخص برا البلد برا أمريكا. بس لو شخص عنده الجنسية والأم أو الأب عايشين معاه هنا في أمريكا وهم ما عندهمش الجنسية، في شيء اسمه الادجستمنت ستاتس، وده نوع حاجة من الأنواع بتاعت في الهجرة اللي ممكن الشخص ممكن يعمله لو عنده نوع فيزا وعايز يغير الفيزا بتاعته لجرين كارد. بس كل حاجة حسب الملف الشخص. فلو شخص عايز يحول يشوف لو ممكن الفيزا بتاعته يخليه يقدم على الجرين كارد، أحسن شيء يحاول يكلم محامي أو يكلمون إحنا. ففي شيء اسمه adjustment of status, something called adjustment of status. It's a process that you can use to apply for a green card while you are present in the US. So adjustment of status is basically changing your status from one thing to another. And depending on the status you came into America with, you might potentially be able to change your status into a green card or citizenship if the law allows it.
I want to add something about the adjustment of status process. You know, we can't share all the details about the adjustment of status process, but one thing we do want to make a note about is there's a lot of documents that go with the adjustment of status application, you know, and many times when you're adjusting your status, you need to have a sponsor, a financial sponsor. So if your wife wants to sponsor you to get a green card and you're here in America, you need to make sure you talk to a lawyer or a organization, because you have to file a affidavit of support with your adjustment of status application. Now, there's some situations in an adjustment of status where you don't have to file a affidavit of support, and those are very few, and those are important as well. But you know, I want to say the adjustment of status is a way to get a green card, but that one slide doesn't do it justice, because there's a lot of different types of forms that go with that green card application.
فعلشان الشخص يغير الحالة بتاعته أو الستاتس بتاعته في كذا طريقة وكذا شيء لازم يقدمه، كذا ورق، فمش سهلة نقول في طريقة واحدة الشخص ممكن يغيره. بس أحسن شيء تحاولوا تحكوا مع المحامي أو تتصلوا علينا ونشوف لو إحنا ممكن نساعدكم بأي شيء له علاقة بكده. ف the next part of this presentation is about naturalization. Naturalization has to do with an individual that is a foreigner, someone that is not an American citizen, you know, is becoming a citizen of America. So, you know, the process is basically allowing a foreigner from one country to become a citizen of another. So if you are a Yemeni national, or if you are an Egyptian citizen, naturalizing in America will allow for you to get American citizenship. So في شيء اسمه naturalization، وهذا الشيء يعني الشخص اللي ما عندوش الجنسية الأمريكاني ممكن يقدم عليه. فأي وقت تشوفوا كلمة naturalization يعتبر الشخص اللي بيغير الوضع بتاعته علشان يجيله الجنسية الأمريكية. When can you apply for citizenship? So if you got your green card from your husband or your wife, you can typically apply for citizenship after 3 years. Keep in mind, there are a lot of requirements to apply for citizenship, but in terms of timeline, if you meet all requirements, you can apply after 3 years. Typically though, if you didn't get your green card from your husband or wife, then you know you have to wait 5 years to apply for American citizenship. Like we said previously, there are a lot of requirements. It's not, you know, just getting a green card and having it and then applying for citizenship. You must speak with either a private immigration attorney or our organization to learn about whether you meet the requirements to apply with your green card.
Yassine, I just want to make one point about the first category where you can apply for citizenship on the basis of being married to your husband and wife. Because the timeline in New York City, waiting for that citizenship interview sometimes takes up to a year, maybe even longer. I have had situations where somebody did it on the basis of marriage to their husband or wife, and then in the middle, they decided to separate or divorce. And they asked me, can I go to the interview? You know, I'm not married to him anymore, but my interview is next week. And I tell them, if you go to the interview without your husband and your wife, they're either going to deny you on the spot, say, go back and wait until you meet that 5-year time period. Or, they're going to say, sorry, you don't have enough evidence to prove that you're still in that marriage. So you have to remain in that marriage. And if you leave your marriage, or if you separate or divorce, or you're not even living together as husband and wife, then don't even bother applying under that 3-year basis, because they will not give you that citizenship. They're going to make you wait that 5-year time period. So it's just an important point. You still have to be married, even after you file your case. The next day you file for divorce, forget about it. It's not happening.
لو شخص متزوج الاثنين اللي متزوجين اتفصلوا عن بعض، ما ينفعش الشخص هذا يستنى 3 سنين عشان يقدم على الجرين كارد بتاعته. لازم يستنى 5 سنين. لو الشخص جاله المقابلة، لو شخص متجوز وجاله المقابلة للجنسية أو الجرين كارد بتاعتهم، والشخص هذا اتفصل عن مراته أو الزوج بتاعتها، الشخص ده يعني ما ينفعش يكمل بالموضوع. لازم يعني يحاول يغير النوع الجرين كارد بتاعته، أو يحكي مع محامي خاص له علاقة بالهجرة، علشان لو الشخص قدم على جرين كارد والجرين كارد جاله من الزوج أو الزوجة، لازم يكملوا الزواج بتاعتهم لغاية الآخر خالص. فزي ما قلنا في كذا شيء الشخص لازم يبقى يعمله علشان يقدم على الجنسية بعد الجرين كارد. فلازم يبقى فوق السن 18، لازم يبقى عايش في أمريكا لمدة 30 شهر قبل ما يقدموا على الجنسية. لازم الشخصية بتاعتهم يبقى كويسة. لازم يعرفوا إنجليزي ويعرفوا معلومات معينة عن البلد، ولازم يعرفوا يتكلموا ويكتبوا إنجليزي. Like we said previously, there are a lot of naturalization eligibility requirements. You can't just get a green card and apply for citizenship without meeting these requirements. You have to be 18 years or older. You have to have been physically present in the United States for at least 30 months before applying for citizenship, meaning if you get your green card and you decide to travel for 4 years, you cannot come back to America on year 5 and apply for citizenship. You have to be physically present in the US for a certain amount of time, being 30 months. You have to have good moral character, and you have to have good English and civics knowledge, meaning you have to have specific knowledge about the US government and America as a whole. And you have to be able to read, write, and speak English, as well as understand the Constitution and be able to give an oath of allegiance. So these are only some of the requirements for citizenship. To learn more about what you need to do to apply for citizenship and the requirements, you can give our office a call and we can assist you with that.
Just last point about the eligibility requirements on the reading, writing, and speaking English. You have to be able to have at least a basic conversation with a person. You don't have to be, fluent in English, meaning like on a college level, but on a basic level, I would say even less than a high school level. Some of the things they want you to be able to know are, think about it on the equivalent of anybody who's gone to middle school. By the time you've gone to middle school, you know a little bit about the basics of government and how to have a conversation. So we want to encourage people to apply. We don't want the reading, writing, and English part of English of the language to be intimidating. And I'll tell you, from my own experience, when I've sat with dozens and dozens, maybe 100 clients for these interviews, the immigration officer is not trying to, trip you up. They just want to know that you're somebody who knows what's happening in your conversation with them, and that you can answer and understand basic, parts of American history. That's it. So don't be intimidated. You know, don't feel like you need to know college level mastery of the English language or even high school level. Just enough to have a conversation with a middle schooler, and I think you'll be good. But again, like Yassine said, contact our organization will help you with that.
هو الأهم شيء تعرفوه مش لازم تعرفوا إنجليزي 100%. على الأقل تقدروا يعني كلمات معينة، تقدروا تتكلموا بجملة كاملة مثلا Hi, how are you? My name is Yasmin. أشياء زي كده. على الأقل لو تعرفوا تحكوا بمعلومات بسيطة ممكن تقدموا على الجنسية. مش لازم يعني تعرفوا تتكلموا يعني 100% يعني اللغة كامل. So we're close to wrapping up this webinar. We're just going to review some final notes on who can petition for who. So if you're an American citizen, you can petition for your wife and husband or husband, mother, father, a sister or brother, children that are unmarried or married, children that are over 21 years old or under 21 years old, and children that are adopted, biological, or stepchildren. قربنا نخلص الويبينار اليوم. من ممكن الشخص اللي عنده الجنسية الأمريكية ممكن يقدم عليه؟ ممكن يقدم على الزوج أو الزوجة، الأم أو الأب، الأخت أو الأخ، أولاد فوق السن 21، أولاد تحت السن 21، أولاد اللي متزوجين أو مش متزوجين، وأي ولد اللي تبناه اللي أنت بننته أو الولد بتاعتكم. So who can a green card holder petition for? So a green card holder, their option in terms of who they can petition for is more limited. So they can petition for a husband or a wife. As we said previously, unmarried children under the age of 21 or unmarried children of any age over the age of 21. فمن الشخص اللي عنده الجرين كارد ممكن يقدم عليه. الشخص اللي عنده الجرين كارد ممكن يقدم على الزوج أو الزوجة، أولاد مش متزوجين فوق السن 21، وأولاد متزوجين فوق السن 21، تحت أو فوق السن 21. فبعد ما يجيلكوا الجرين كارد ممكن تقدموا على الجنسية بالطلب اسمه ال N400. So after you get your green card, you can apply for citizenship using the N400 application. At this point, you should have already qualified and met all the eligibility requirements, and you can begin working on your application. So the process is you first submit the application and the fees. Afterwards, you have to go to your biometrics appointment or appointments, depending on how many you are requested to attend. There's an interview, which is 3 parts. The first part is the civics test, which tests you on your knowledge of government and American culture. The second part is the English conversation, which also includes reading English and writing English. And then the final part has to do with the morality questions. For example, they may ask you, have you committed any crimes? Are you a active drug abuser, and so on. After that, you just have to await the decision, and if you pass, you get to attend the oath ceremony and you finally get your citizenship. فلو الشخص خلاص ممكن يقدم على الجنسية وعد كل يعني الأشياء الجرين كارد، أول شيء لازم يقدم الطلب اسمه ال N400 ويدفع كل حاجة ليها علاقة بالرسومية. تاني شيء لازم يروح الميعاد بتاعته اسمه البايومتريكس. هذا الميعاد بياخدوا ممكن صور، ممكن البصمة، بيسألوا معلومات عن الطول ولون عيونك، كل الأشياء زي كده. تالت شيء في مقابلة، وهذا المقابلة عنده ثلاث حاجات اللي بيحصل في وسط المقابلة. أول شيء الامتحان عن الهجرة بتاعت أمريكا ومعلومات الهجرة. تاني شيء هو بيحاولوا يشوفوا لو انتوا تقدروا تحكوا انجليزي، تقروا انجليزي وتكتبوا انجليزي. مثلا ممكن يدوكوا جملة على ورق ويقولوا اقروا هذا الجملة اقروا هذا الجملة وجاوبوا عليها بالانجليزي. ثالث حاجة ممكن يسألكوا هم هيسألكم عن سؤالات معينة زي هل أنت أبدا عملت جريمة، هل أنت أبدا خرجت من بلد، أي شيء زي كده. وآخر حاجة لازم تستنوا لغاية ما البلد يرد عليك، لغاية ما الهجرة يرد عليكم، وإن شاء الله تعدوا كل حاجة تروحوا شيء اسمه الأوث سيرموني. فأهم حاجة تعرفوه بكل الأشياء هذا ممكن الشخص اللي يقدم على الجنسية أو يقدم على مراته علشان تاخد الجنسية، أو الأولاد ياخدوا الجنسية، هياخد وقت طويل. ممكن ياخد 2 ممكن 3 ممكن 4 ممكن 5. الهجرة مش حاجة سهلة، مش بياخد يعني وقت صغيرة، وممكن يعني تقدموا على حاجة وممكن ياخد وقت أكتر من الوقت اللي الهجرة قال عليه. فأهم حاجة تعرفوا، لو عندكم سؤال عن ليش الطلب بتاعتكم بياخد وقت ممكن تتصلوا عليا، وإحنا كجمعية ياما ممكن نساعدكم. So to wrap up today's webinar, the most important thing to know is that immigration is very complex. In terms of timelines, it's often hard to give an exact timeline as to when you might get your citizenship, when your brother might come to America, when your sister, your wife, your kids might come into the country. If you do have questions about timeframes and whether your case is taking too long in terms of immigration timelines, please feel free to reach out to us and we can assist you with that. Any last words, Mohammed?
No, that's all. I will say that, you know, it's a straightforward process that has steps that you must carefully meet in every single portion of it. You know, and we here love doing what we're doing. I know Yassine is passionate about helping our immigration clients and the Yemeni American Merchants Association's members and the Yemeni community in general, and anybody else who comes to us on their immigration case. We prefer that you come and get the advice from us, as opposed to just, you know, speaking to your family and friends. You know, I'll let Yassine talk about that and how it's better to seek professional advice about your immigration case, doing your internet research or speaking to your family members, because their experience may be totally different than your experience.
فأهم شيء تعرفوه إلا لو أنتم أبداً عندكم سؤال عن أي شيء له علاقة بالهجرة، لازم تحكوا غير معنا إحنا أو مع محامي. حاولوا ما تحكوش مع الأخ أو الأخت أو الوالد أو الأولاد. الهجرة مش حاجة سهلة. ممكن أخو شخص يقدم على الجنسية ومفيش مشاكل، بس ممكن لو شخص تاني يقدم عليه ممكن يبقى فيه مشاكل. فقبل ما تقدموا أي حاجة للهجرة، من فضلكم اتصلوا عليا أو اتصلوا عن أي محامي شغال في الهجرة، محامي يعني معروف، محامي تمام كويس يعني كشخص، وإحنا نساعدكم إن شاء الله. لو شخص عنده أي سؤال أو أي شيء، رقم تلفوني 929-466-5628. رقم تلفوني 929-466-5628. لو تريدوا ميعاد معانا حاولوا تتصلوا عليا وإن شاء الله أعمل لكم ميعاد. شكرا لكل الأشخاص اللي دخلوا معنا في الويبينار اليوم، وأي سؤال اتصلوا علينا. السلام عليكم.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.